Okay, so it's been 2 days, I guess, since the breakup, whatever, I don't know. And today was his birthday, or is his birthday still. I did reach out and I said happy birthday, but I made it very clear. I was like, I am not trying to reconnect. I am just expressing pleasantry to you because to some degree you are still fresh in my mind, you know what I mean? So I said happy birthday, hope you have a nice day. And then he said something. I did not respond because once again I was not trying to get into a back and forth, you know what I mean? I don't want him thinking that I was trying to, no. No. And I don't know, I feel like he is probably thinking that we'll reconnect or whatever, and I'm really just done with the situation. I really am just so done because it's crazy thinking about how much energy it took for me to tolerate him and put up with certain behaviors, you know what I mean? Even on the day that we broke up, it was just so obvious. I'm trying so hard to be patient with you and you're pulling me out of my character. No, I don't want nothing to fucking do with you. You know what I mean? If you want to send me money unprompted, that's cool, but I'm not asking for anything. We're not doing this anymore because it just became so painfully clear to me that this person was just not in the right state of mind. You know what I mean? Ugh. And I did mention him when I was talking with my therapist, and that was kind of interesting to talk about. And I don't know, to some degree I still have that belief, that thought that tells me how do I say that without sounding pompous? The idea that I'm too advanced for most people. And I say belief, I say thought, because I know that there's other people who probably could, match me, but it just seems like everybody I encounter is just dumb as fuck. And I mean that as non-judgmentally as possible. I mean, how do you say that non-judgmentally? How do you, but I don't know, from an objective standpoint of I use my wisdom, I use my brain consistently, and a lot of people just don't, I don't know, maybe maybe there's a way to sound non-judgmental, but and this was one of the things that I shared with her. I made it very clear. I was I'm trying not to be as judgmental because I can be, and then I also expressed because I'm judgmental towards myself first, you know what I mean? I don't hold anybody to a standard that I don't hold myself. That's why I feel like I come off as so intense sometimes, because it's this is how I talk to myself, even worse. You know what I mean? I get down on myself. And one of the things she said to me was that I should not be so hard on myself. And I don't know, I definitely appreciated that she said it, but it was how do I say it? It came with a sort of weight, a sort of sadness when she said it. And I interpret that in my own way. I processed it later, but I don't know, it's I know that, and that's why I'm so frustrated, because I'm so, you know what I mean? I am very articulate. I am very perceptive and all that jazz, and it's just in the past, I'm not saying presently, but in the past it has seemingly bit me in the butt, you know what I mean? Being so in tune, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people feel intimidated by that. A lot of people don't love that. They don't appreciate that, and it's I've had to suffer the consequences of other people not being able to receive me, and it's I started off strong. I was I just want to make it clear, I've had other people, other mental health professionals who literally just could not receive me in the way that I am, and that's, if you notice any frustration at any point, that's why, because it just seems I'm far too advanced for most people, and I'm trying to meet people where they are, but to some degree, especially when there's certain expectations and whatnot, it gets difficult, because it's how am I to meet you where you're at, and I'm supposed to be the receiving position, you know what I mean? that doesn't really compute. And I explained, like, you know, we can agree to disagree, but from my perspective, like, that doesn't energetically work. Like, if I'm supposed to be in the client position, in the student position, and I'm more advanced than the teacher, and the teacher is not willing to, like, open themselves up, then there's no way for me to really benefit anything from this, because, you know what I mean, you're coming from a place of, like, limitation, a place of fear and all that jazz. And that was one thing I did notice about her that I did not mention, I did not point out, because you don't have to say everything that you pick up on, but I did notice that she was speaking a lot out of fear, which is not uncommon, but, you know, for the most part, she was pretty groovy. So the little things that I did notice were not as little, if that makes sense. Like, once again, she was really awesome for the most part, but it doesn't take away from the fact that, like, I'm still super perceptive. I'm still super, like, you know, keen on certain things. So if that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. I don't know. She also did happen to be in the military, so that was like an energy, which I don't necessarily mind, I guess. I'm not necessarily saying that to be a negative, but, you know, that masculinity energy, you know what I mean? There's been something, as I'm recording, it's November 18th. By the time this gets posted, it'll be February, but, like, the topic has been trending of, like, the male divine feminine, and I appreciate that people are talking about it from the perspective that they have been, because, like, it's, like, coming from a more balanced perspective of, like, you know, that's how it should be, you know what I mean? Like, a healthy masculine person is gonna also be relatively balanced in their feminine versus masculine, but most people aren't like that, you know? And I don't know, where was I going? Once again, we flowed really well for the most part, but, like, I do recognize that I'm such an advanced sort of, like, soul, and that, like, even the best of people often feel, like, naked in my presence, you know what I mean? Like, I've met some really awesome people. From my perspective, they were really awesome, but because of, like, the way that my energy interacts with people, it's like I'm not able to really appreciate that awesomeness, because, like, I'm inadvertently breaking down their defenses, and it's very uncomfortable for them, you know what I mean? So a lot of times I'll get to witness people be awesome, but then when I get close to them, that all fades, because, you know what I mean, like, it's crazy. It's an interesting experience to live through, and if you have that same sort of energy, you understand what I'm talking about. Like, it's a constant, like, annoyance of, like, you're supposed to be smarter than me, but, like, I can see that you are actually not. And it's like, that's not supposed to be an insult. Like, everybody hears that, and it's like an attack on intelligence. And sure, maybe we could perceive it that way, but, like, I don't know. In a world where a lot of people value intelligence and will pretend to be intelligent, I feel like there's layers to that. You know what I mean? I don't know. One thing I'll say, though, is that this person was definitely a lot more easy to work with than the last person. The last person was so rigid. And, like, it was crazy because he wanted to believe, I feel like, that he was helping me. But it was just like, how? You know what I mean? You're like, not being helpful at all, my dude. I kind of stopped recording for a while. But one thing I've been doing, I wasn't able to do it exactly on the right time because I was, like, having a session with her, I was talking with her, but one thing I've been doing is, like, making sure to meditate at the same time every day, and I might move that time back or something, because it's, like, in the middle of the day, and it's like, what the fuck, but yeah, that's been something. Also, I feel like this is not necessary to mention, but I did notice a little bit of unspoken tension between us. I mentioned that in the last video that I talked about her. I'm not usually attracted to women, so, I mean, I'm open to it. I even told her that. I was like, I'm open to this stuff like that, but it was weird. It was only something that was in my head. I didn't ever speak on it in the moment, but, you know, and she is older than me. She was in the military. I think I might have said that already. Yeah, I did say that. I think one thing that made it clear to me that she was relatively serious about her job, and I say relatively, I don't know, was that she started talking about boundaries like right away. Like that was like one of the first things we talked about. And hold on, there's a car. And I don't know, generally it seemed like she understood a lot of terms that a lot of mental health professionals kind of just gloss over, you know what I mean? And that's my issue with like the mental health field as a whole. Like a lot of people use language that they don't actually implement into their everyday, if that makes sense. Like journaling, affirmation, stuff like that. Like, and I was telling her, and I was like, you know, that's kind of my issue. Like, I feel like it's impossible for anybody to really truly learn or get better if they're taking advice, getting instruction for somebody who doesn't even follow the lesson plan themselves. You know what I mean? And we could agree to disagree on that fundamentally, sure. Also, I'm walking into the cemetery. It's kind of dark, so oops. But to some degree, that's how I feel about it. Like, if you haven't done the work on yourself, it's no way you're going to try to advance somebody else who is already doing the work. You know what I mean? There's a disconnect there. And once again, I'm not talking about this current counselor. Like, I feel like she was really groovy. For the most part, she was really nice. I do have a sense that, like, it won't be the most kosher all the way through. And like worst case scenario, I'll just get another counselor. I don't fucking know. But yeah. And I was able to kind of, we had a walk around the library, and she wanted to like go inside the library and talk to me, but I was like, let's just stand outside. And then she decided we walk. So we walked, and I feel like she really got to see parts of me that she wouldn't have seen if we had just stayed still. You know what I mean? Because I'm a naturally very active spirit. Like when I make these videos all the time, I'm like walking, and that kind of helps me to think a little bit, helps me to process and all that jazz. And there was this cat that I pet. So, like there were so many little moments that kind of showcase like me, I guess. Like I waved at some girl, and she kind of like, it kind of activated her to like initiate some sort of dialogue, which in turn kind of frightened her. I guess she didn't notice that I had waved at her, but yeah. And I don't know. I recognize that like we can call it all sorts of things. We could call it star power. We could call it anointing. We could call it lots of different things. But when you have a strong energy, when you're polarizing, like you will consistently be met with like resistance, with violence, with anger. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people can't really process what it is that you're giving to them, what it is that your presence provides for them. You know what I mean? And for me, especially with this ex that I had, like what made me realize that it was the last straw was that like it was nearly impossible to have, like even as I'm talking about it, like I'm getting like flustered. It was nearly impossible for us to have like a peaceful, productive conversation if he was in his feelings. You know, like I could be angry and I could still get myself to come down and talk in a way that was pleasant and productive and kind and respectful. But there were moments, and especially once again the last day, like I'm a very conscious person. Like I'm very careful about how I interact with people. And so like on this day, I was like very particular about like staying in my peace and like, you know, staying in that energy. And it seemed like the more that I was like standing firm in my peace, the more that he was getting upset and the more that he was trying to push that onto me. And so I was just like, no, this is not going to work, because you're too chaotic and you don't want to own your chaos. You don't want to own your destruction. You just want to pretend like it doesn't exist. And that doesn't work for me, because then I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the residue, and you don't want to acknowledge that. You don't want to take ownership of that. And it's just, you know, you could have whatever story you want to have in your head, but like from my perspective, like this is just too much for me. You're not willing to be an adult with me. And so that's why I kind of was like, nope, we can't do this. And I don't know, it's been on and off. Like, this isn't the first time that I've tried to leave. And once again, which is why I'm like, I feel like in his head, he thinks that I'm going to try to come back. And it's like, bro, no, you don't understand how fucking stressful this is for me and how much I cannot consistently handle this and also handle my other responsibilities. You know what I mean? Like, making these videos, going on live stream, writing books. Like, I can't do all that while also dealing with an emotionally immature person as my partner. Like, that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. If I didn't have all the things that I have to do, then maybe that'd be a different story. But it's just like, I need my emotions for my work. I need my emotions for other things. Like, I can't keep doing this with you, brother. You know, either grow up or get the fuck out, you know? And I don't know, if I could stay in my emotions for a little bit and talk about the breakup itself, like, one thing that really irritated me was that, like, because we couldn't have a conversation on the phone without him causing me to blow up. Once again, I was trying my best. I even told him over text in between phone calls, because I kept hanging up on him, because I was like, if you're going to escalate this, I don't understand why we're not, there's no reason for us to talk. If you're not going to listen to me and, like, be here with me and try to find a solution, there's no reason for us to really talk, you know? And so I was like, you know, I'm trying my hardest to be peaceful with you, but you're not allowing me. So, like, and then he was like, he would try to deflect so hard. He was like, I'm not upset. And it's like, what? And then he would do this thing all the time where he would play semantics and he would be like, I'm not upset, I'm frustrated. I'm not upset, I'm disappointed. And it's like, either way, bitch, it's an unpleasant feeling. It's something that you don't want to feel. Like, what the fuck does it matter what you call it? Like, either way, you're like, you know what? Like, what the fuck? And one of the things that I said to the counselor that I feel like applies to this relationship and just my relationships in general, I hold myself to a certain standard. Like, I get on myself about certain things and certain behaviors and all that jazz. And so when I become friends with people, I don't have many close friends, you know what I mean, that I actually consider friends. Like, I consider people my friends, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a very surface level thing, because when I truly care about somebody, when I truly love somebody, if I see them doing something wrong, if I see them, I'm sorry, I had a lot of burps coming up. But if I'm friends with somebody, if I'm close with somebody, and I see them doing wrong or what I perceive to be wrong, I'm going to do my best to correct you. You know what I mean? And if I can't do that with you, if you don't want to learn, then I don't see there any point to being friends. Because obviously you don't really take your life very seriously. You know what I mean? Because, like, in my opinion, a good friend is somebody who calls you out on your BS, who tells you when you're doing wrong and tries to correct you, tries to get you to do better. You know what I mean? And it seemed like from his perspective, all I was doing was nagging him. I was just complaining and I was just being ungrateful. And like, I don't know. It's weird to me that somebody would be in a relationship with so much stress and so much issue and then just not want to leave. You know, because leaving was not easy. It wasn't. Like, once again, I had tried to leave before, but then I found my way back to him. And I feel like in his head, in his twisted head, because I know that this is true, because he said things to me like this. Like, oh, I told you that you would ask for money today. And it's like, what? That's not a manipulation. And whether or not he's doing it consciously, that's what's going on. Because I've broken it down to him. I'm like, your expectations pull me in a certain direction. And you expecting me to ask you for money. You expecting me to... You know, we can pretend like it doesn't play a part, but it does. You know what I mean? And it's just like really negligent and really irresponsible for you to put certain expectations and, like, you know, and that's not going to resonate for everybody. Like, only if you're super sensitive to energy, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, because it's like with The Sims. It's like when you have a desire, things happen around that desire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes sense the way I said that, but you know what I mean? Like, he would say certain things. He would be like, and I remember one time we got really heated a while ago. I think I talked about this in the video. And he said something along the lines of, I know you'll be back when you run out of money. And I got so mad at that. I was like, what? I hung up on him so fast. I was like, are you fucking serious? Did you really just say that to me? Like, what the fuck do you think this is? And, like, I don't know. Once again, whether or not he was intentionally doing it doesn't matter. Because it's still fucking fucked with my head, fucked with my life. You know what I mean? Point blank period. I'm telling you, I have financial goals. I'm trying to get my life together. You know what I mean? And you have it in your head that you should be able to, like, lord over me monetarily, financially. That's fucking weird. You're a fucking weirdo who should be alone. Like, you know what? Like, that's weird. That's weird. Like, and that's, in my head, it's just like, it doesn't make sense to think that he was ever innocent, like he actually cared about me. You know, because it's like, how do you see somebody so ambitious, somebody so willing to share their goals with you? And maybe that was my mistake, I'll admit that. But somebody willing to share their goals with you and, like, really let you inside their mind, and you somehow twist that to, like, make them depend on you financially. Like, you're weird. You're weird. You're fucking weird. And I don't know, the positive side of it, like, he helped me in a lot of different ways, sure. But, like, the help never outweighed anything else. Because he did not consistently care about me. He did not genuinely want the best for me, if it meant that he could not benefit. And I think that is so selfish. I think that is so disgusting. You know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, what? I'm sorry, I'm getting heated about this. I don't mean to get heated about this. I just wanted to make a video and, like, let some things out, I guess, before I'm about to smoke again. Because I took a nap earlier. I haven't smoked since earlier today. So, you know, just trying to stay on top of things, be productive. And I don't know who's going to be watching this in the future or listening to this, but, like, please understand that you deserve to have people around you who actually care about you and show consistently that they care about you. Don't fall for the trap, the idea that there's nobody out there who's going to be, like, good for you. You know what I mean? Because he would try to spin it all the time and make it seem like I was asking for too much and I'm being unreasonable. And it's like, no, bitch, you just don't have basic empathy. What the fuck? You're just fundamentally broken. I'm sorry, that's kind of mean. But, like, I don't care. Like, this person literally, like, almost made me lose my mind several times. And I don't mean to give him that much credit. But it's like, if I were to allow him, I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my identity. And I would not, you know what I mean? Like, it infuriates me to think that he was so close to breaking me down. Like, oh my god, how could I fucking allow that? You know what I mean? Oh my god, thank the gods that I'm still here. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. I hope this was useful in some way. I hope this was helpful. If so, you should definitely make sure you engage with the video. Let me know what you think. And try to have a nice rest of your day, man. Keep your head up, stay groovy, and I'll see you next time. Bye!